Savannah, tell us who you are, just a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what keeps you busy right now.
Okay, so yes, I'm Savannah Whitehead. I am the program director at Edmond Fine Arts.
Okay.
So that means I oversee a lot of our programs. We do things inside our building and outside in the community. And one of our programs that we're really kicking off right now is Vibes, Edmond's First Thursdays. So that's the downtown art walk that happens April through October on the first Thursday of the month from 6 to 9 p.m. So that's definitely keeping me busy right now. But that helps, partner artists and performers with downtown businesses, just kind of creating like a very welcoming downtown. And we use placemaking strategies to do that. And really just make it kind of like all the magic that downtown Edmond could have anytime, just hyper-focused on a certain day.
Yeah, it comes alive. Vibes is a perfect name. How did you come up with that, by the way?
It's kind of funny, yeah. So we started working on the project really during COVID. And so we kind of had the whole year of COVID to like do lots of research and do, kind of create the marketing for the event. And so I was like looking at everything, like looking at Miami and LA and like big towns, kind of like things that like we were dreaming to be like. And the thing I kept noticing was like the things with like one word, like that one short word were kind of like catchy and memorable. And so I was like, what really embodies like both, visual and performing, but also just like an atmosphere. I personally love the word vibe. I think it's just like, people connect with that word. It has like just a positive connotation to it. It's short, it's a fun word. And so that's kind of why we went with it.
I love it.
We had a couple marketing companies like take pitches at it. And they never really came up with anything better.
You gave them a chance.
So we just we rolled with it.
I love that. Yeah, and there's so much. There's funny phrases that come along with it too. Like it's such a vibe, and there's just so much fun to play on words you can do with that.
Yes. Yeah, I make a lot of vibe puns, like all the time.
It's so much fun. So explain. And this is a question I've had, so I'm sure others might as well. Explain to me what the fine arts, like that building, that organization, it's a nonprofit. Explain to me more about what they do, how it relates to Vibes, and kind of the interconnection.
Sure. So Edmond Fine Arts was founded in 1985 by 4 moms that basically, fun story. They were at a gymnastics meet for their kids and were talking about the lack of art education that the kids were getting in school. And so they felt like that the community needed another resource to help fill some of that gap. So they started doing art lessons like out of the trunk of their car at church. There were these moms, they were traveling out with the supplies and they would do theater and visual art, but they were literally just like popping up different places. So in the early 2000s, the land was donated for our building, and it was basically like, if you guys can raise, I think it was $2 million, to do the project, like we will give you the land. And so the executive director at the time was Mitzi Handcuff, and she ran with that and did an awesome job. So they built the building, and then Shannon Price became the executive director, I think 9 or 12 years ago. She's been there for quite a while. But now, so not only do we do the visual and performing arts inside our building, so that actually is 60 plus hours of our education every week inside. Then outside of our building, we do all of our education for 3rd and 4th grade students in Edmond Public Schools.
Oh my goodness.
So we oversee 17 teachers that go into all 20 elementary schools. We do art as therapy out at Pepper's Ranch. We do the juvenile court system, court mandated hour program, so they can come in and do their art as their community service, which is, the whole thing about, therapy and that kind of situation. So really, what started as something very small, just trying to like get kids more access to art, has grown into, quite a community resource. And obviously we're always trying to fill needs for the community when it relates to the arts. And so that was kind of how Vibes came about too. There was several city leaders and business owners that were together in 2020 visiting about the need for something like that for downtown. And so they were like, who will oversee this project? And Shannon and I actually happened to be in that last conversation before COVID, and we were like, this fits with us so well. We have the relationships with the artists already. You know, we want this for our community. We want everyone to have that access. So
wow,
we just jumped with it.
So it came together, and that was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So now that program is running strong. You guys are very busy with that. And the schools, the original vision from the moms is basically, it's bigger, but it's kind of came to life exactly how they wanted. More access for kids and in the schools, which is really cool.
So ironically, you know, Edmond Public Schools are, in my opinion, the best schools in the state. But we're the only school district in our area that doesn't have art until 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
A lot of that's just because of how the state funding formula works. So it's a lot less of a financial burden for the schools if we're providing the art for 3rd and 4th grade. You know, the teachers are our employees, and the schools don't have to do, you know, the personnel and that kind of situation. We do all of that. So it's kind of a win-win.
Wow, that's cool. How many teachers do you have? Are some of them volunteers? Are they all paid, or how does that work?
They're all paid. We have, I think, 43 teachers right now.
Oh, wow.
And all of them teach different things, but they basically work like contract employees. We are very big on artists being paid for their work. So we definitely want everyone to be, you know, receiving equitable pay for their work and their craft. But yeah.
We've talked about that before, and I love your kind of take on this, is in order for an artist to realize that their craft is sustainable, they have to charge for it. And I know you're a big proponent of that. Maybe talk about that for a minute.
Yes. So this is kind of a fun story, or I think it's fun. Growing up, my family's always been pretty art focused. I have, you know, an uncle that's a professional artist. My grandmother's painted for her whole life. So I came from a background where it was like appreciated, and I was put into art opportunities early on, thankfully. So growing up, my parents put 3 frames in our kitchen, and I could create art to fill those as often as I wanted to, and they would pay me for them. I had to sign them. That was the deal. It had to have my signature on it.
Put your name on it.
And of course, as like a kid, it started out at like $1 a painting, you know, $3 a painting or whatever. And then as I got older,
your value is going up.
My value went up, but my dad still has like a massive folder of all of my art from that. So, but as a young child, I like started to see like this was more than just drawings. You know, this was like something of value. It was something that my parents put value on for me. Something that I put value on for the community, and so often, you know, people that aren't involved in the arts or maybe haven't picked up a pencil since they were in grade school, think it's just like a hobby or like, oh, you can just do that in 5 seconds. You know, that's no big deal. Well, really, like artists take hours and hours of planning and execution and practice to put their work on paper or whatever their medium is. So I definitely want. It's a big mission of ours to make sure that they're receiving, you know, compensation appropriately. It's not just doodles on a wall, you know.
That's right, No, I think it's so important. And on the artist side, there's a sense sometimes like putting yourself out there and charging for art is a challenge. My personal story is my mom kind of became an artist later on in her life. And for her to put that first painting out there for sale. Oh, no one's gonna wanna buy it. She gave away a ton of art. And at some point she's like, I need to at least pay for my supplies. And so putting a price tag on that first painting was such a big step for her. So it's emotional for me to go, like it needs to be valued so that it can continue. And it's true value, right?
Absolutely. I think a lot of artists struggle with that. Like, you know, especially if you're not like a classically trained artist, like you didn't go to art school or something like that. You have a hard time, and I can totally appreciate that. I had a hard time, you know, putting $1 to a lot of my first projects too. And artists ask me about that all the time, how to price their work, how to, you know, and especially some of my younger artist friends are still having that struggle of like, I have a hard time charging. And it's like, but if it's such a bigger picture than just, you know, you and your, obviously I totally understand that people have, you know, emotional connection to their work and that they have a hard time putting a dollar amount on it. But it's a bigger issue that people that they don't see art as, you know, an economic product. So
Well, and by charging, you might be empowering another artist.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
Exactly.
So great work you guys are doing. It's amazing. And you're such a big part of course, we're growing a business in downtown Edmond. So seeing Vibes is like a huge part. It's another night where people are out. It's another reason for people to come out. And then I recently sat in on a meeting that you did for Vibes, and seeing the energy of the artist was really special. So gathering people like that, talk about that a little bit. How does that make you feel? You must be proud to gather. It's not just you, I know, you have a team, but seeing those artists just gather and giving them a platform, it's gotta be so rewarding.
It is. There's artists that have been doing Vibes since the first season.
Okay.
And I consider them like close friends. I get very excited when I get to see them. And then there's like this season, a lot of new artists and a lot of new talent. And we're just really excited to have them participate. I can't even explain, I feel like I want to be their biggest cheerleader ever, if that makes sense. I'm very proud of all of the artists. I'm very, try to be very supportive of them and encouraging. But like you said, it is such a big thing to put yourself out there, and a lot of them, a lot of the artists that participate are very experienced and have been in their career for a long time. But also Vibe serves as a platform for some of those that may be newer artists, and this could I know several of them that this is their first time that they're going to be showing their work. Wow. So giving them that platform, I think, is huge. And that you never know where they're going to go from there.
Yeah.
Same thing for the performing artist. You never know. The guy on the corner could easily be the next, Nashville star.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So
people have talent, and sometimes it takes the right personality. What I love about your energy, and we've known each other for several years now, it's like you're a person that's a cheerleader is a perfect word, where you're just you're an artist yourself, so you have that understanding, but then you're trying to get other people out there, you're trying to encourage. And that personality helps, because not everyone has that, Maybe you are an artist and you don't want to put yourself out there. You just have a sense, maybe your personality is a little different than Savannah's. And that's a gift to other people to go, hey, go do it. I have connections for you. We'll do it together. That is very empowering.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I love the sense of community that they create within the group.
Okay.
A lot of them learn from each other, which is really cool and powerful. Some of the more experienced artists are teaching some of the younger ones tricks to set up and things to do to help with sales and that kind of thing, which I think is invaluable.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for talking about Vibes
Absolutely.
and Edmond Fine Arts. I think it's a really cool organization. I didn't know the history of it too, so that was really, really cool to hear. Talk more about yourself though. I want to hear more about art and your passion for art. You're an artist still. You were talking about doing a mural later on today. Talk more about that. Where did that come from? Obviously, you talked about your parents a little bit, but talk more about your history with art.
That's very kind. Talking about myself is not my favorite activity. But yeah, so like I said, I grew up having access to, our education from a young age. My grandmother was putting me in art camp and things like that, and taking me to museums early on. And I was watching my uncle, and my dad, in the metal shop. I would watch them weld, or them, and my granddad as well, sketch out something and then bring it to life. They let me run around there sometimes, even though it was hot and dangerous.
No scars.
Yeah, no scars.
So all three of them did metal work, is that right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So my granddad was a welder for oil field specific. He was more practical welding. But he was also creative, and his favorite things were solving puzzles and. People would bring projects to him, and he was a figure, he could figure stuff out. Very mechanical and that kind of stuff. And then my uncle, my dad's oldest brother, is a professional sculpture artist. He's very well known in West Texas for creating larger than life metal work. And he has a funny story that when he was in school, he went to school for art. He put himself through school for art, I should say. And his professor looked at his room of 20 or 30 kids and was like, one of you will make this a profession and make it. And he's the one. Sure there's others, but I think the realistic nature of it is a hard industry to make it in.
Yeah.
And then my dad, he won't admit that he is an artist, but he is.
He's a reluctant artist.
He's a reluctant artist, yes. He's created, or he's built pretty much every bed that I've ever had. So, he'll builds the frames, builds beautiful headboards. All the gates at our old house had, one was like a zebra print and one had flowers. Wow. So very just like cool things. But so I grew up around creativity, and it was celebrated. I was also an only child, so like, it's quiet. You kind of learn to fill your time a little bit. So pretty much like if you left me with markers or even like paper plates and a roll of tape, like I could entertain myself for a long time.
Oh, that's fun. So that's kind of where it kind of
stemmed there.
And then what is your favorite medium? Is there a certain aesthetic that you prefer? How would you describe that? I'm a non-art. I mean, I think we're all artists, but I see myself as a non-artist. So I'm always curious about those things.
I guess I should maybe say I did go to school for studying art. I went to study art history, and particularly during that, my favorite art to study was American art and contemporary art specifically. So you're more up to date, like current things, not so much your Baroque European styles. And so I think that has carried into what I prefer to create as well. I still hesitate to call myself an artist. Every artist deals with that, I know. But I call it kind of like pop Western or like Western contemporary work.
Those Texas roots.
Yes. Yeah, I think it just has to do with like what I grew up thinking was, appealing and attractive and beautiful. And then I like to create my version of those things.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's, I don't know, I would encourage too, I don't know if there's somebody listening to this that is struggling with that feeling of, I'm not really an artist. There's other people that are better than me. Do you have any words for them? I'm just sitting there thinking like, I just want people to put themselves out there and be bold and just start, do you have any words for them, I guess?
I feel like for me, where I really felt like I got a lot of momentum in my kind of like art career, again, hard to say, was doing the Sunny Days Mural Festival last year. So I we were sitting on the couch and I was talking to my husband Tyler, and I was like, should I put an application for this? And I was like, it's gonna be in Edmond, like that would be so cool. It's gonna be in downtown, like that would be such a fun thing to get to be involved in. And I was like, but I know I'm not the caliber that a lot of these, applicants will be. But he was very encouraging. He was like, just go for it. Like, what's the worst? Like, you can do it if you get in. I know you will. And so I kind of like took that leap and did submit and did get in, and got to kind of do that first mural in August. And that really like gave me a lot of courage, and I learned a lot from the other, artists that were painting. A lot of my painting neighbors shared their like tips and tricks.
Cool.
And so that really, I think, helped propel me. I think that the biggest advice that I would give is just like taking those jumps, like applying to be in a show. Sometimes that's all it takes. Like, you've got these few samples and you're like, oh man, like, is this something I need to keep pursuing? One of my Vibes artists told me that actually. He was like, he was like, I submitted these things knowing that if I got in, like I would pursue them more. And so I think that that's like, everyone needs a little motivation, and sometimes just knowing that you have a true purpose to be motivated for.
No, that makes total sense. On the business side, I always tell people, if you have a business idea, start talking about it, and it kind of holds you accountable to start pursuing it more, the more people you tell. And so there's some similarity there, like kind of putting yourself out there. Sometimes we just need that extra little push to, the more people we tell, the more, we get pushed.
So, and you kind of have to stick to it. That's so true.
So, okay, that's good stuff. What else, so art obviously is a big part of your life. You have all these projects you're working on. You're very busy. You're a big part of the community here in Edmond. You also worked for the Edmond Chamber for a little while, which was a great experience, I know. Talk to me about, so kind of career aside, art aside, what other interests do you have? I know you have a lot of friends. We talked about OSU before, where you went to school. Talk to me about other elements of Savannah that you would, just like to share.
Sure. So I also teach Pure Barre at Pure Barre Edmond, so fitness community. So this is kind of interesting that you asked it like that. I recently have kind of been on like a, I don't know, self-discovery journey for 2023. Like I kind of put some intention behind that because I think this is just natural for any person in a career or, doing whatever you do every day. I have a really hard time saying like who I am without my roles and titles and projects.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like so much of your identity. And so sometimes when you take those things aside and you're left with just like, who am I? There's some question there. And I've just started trying to be very like intentional about trying to think every day like who I'm trying to be outside of just completing a task or a job or a project. So
it goes pretty deep. No, that's good though. That's encouraging to someone else out there that might see, because here's the thing, Savannah, I sat down with Matthew Myers, our mutual friend, and he was saying how there's so much of people that when we look on the surface, we might think of them a certain way or, oh, they're successful. And we were talking about how they have the same problems, the same challenges. I know there's people out there, because I know how you're respected in this community. I'm sure there are a lot of people going like, Savannah, she's got it all figured out. I'm sure she's got her whole thing. She just looks like she's got it all figured out. And I think it's good for all of us to remember is like, yes, Savannah is well on her way. She's smart, all of these things, but you're still working on some things. I'm still working on some things. We're trying to figure out our identity, and that's just part of being human. Right? So.
Yes. Yeah, I think I heard Erica Lucas spoke at a group that I was, talking, or that I'm in, and she's with Stitch Crew and the whole Thunder Accelerator.
Okay, cool.
And she was talking about like, your brand outside of just your work brand. Although they're intertwined, like basically, if you're not actively trying to shape that, then it will be shaped for you. And so just, definitely trying to put a lot of thought into like what that looks like for me, other than just like, oh, she's really good at, completing a task.
Like who is Savannah? Who is Josh? Those are big questions, and it's good to ask, and you're on that journey, and I would be excited. We'll continue the conversation about where that kind of lands you and stuff. But one of the questions, like future-oriented, I have two more questions for you. So future-oriented, Savannah in 20 years.
Oh, man.
What are some of the things that you want to accomplish? I know you're so community-focused. You love Edmond. We've been talking about the future of Edmond. We're super excited. But talk to me about, in 20 years, where do you see yourself? What kind of impact do you want to have on this community or other communities? Give me a little like sneak peek.
Gosh, that's a really hard question.
I know it's a big one.
I honestly feel like any impact I've gotten to make wasn't on purpose, I guess.
So it'd be hard to plan for it, is your point?
I was given like lots of really amazing opportunities, and people put a lot of faith and trust in me with projects that I've been given, and roles I've been given, and things that I never knew were like a possibility. Which I've been super honored to have gotten to be a part of, the Chamber and of Edmond Fine Arts and of downtown Edmond like I have. It's really hard for me to cast 20 years in advance.
It's a long time.
I am a future thinker, but at the same time, my future thinking doesn't go 20 years. But I hope that the arts will continue to be a big focus for our town. I think we're doing a great job of that. But I know it can always be elevated and improved. I hope that, downtown just continues to flourish and that more amazing retailers like you come in. And just, I've been so excited by the energy of new businesses and the old businesses that are still here that are really working together and really trying to make downtown Edmond something special. Because I definitely think it can be, and it is. Just getting people to realize it, So I want to continue to be, a part of that movement and of making that happen. I like to say, like, I, wear my arts apron with my economic development hat sometimes.
Yes.
Because I think that they are super intertwined, and I want the community to continue to see that the arts really can propel a community and businesses really far.
Yeah, that's super smart. I'm glad you're thinking that way, because I do think, and we talked about this the other night, where when businesses and artists, that is a powerful collaboration.
It is.
But we don't always understand each other.
Right.
And so we need kind of a liaison, someone that can understand both worlds and point us in the right direction. So yeah, I'm glad you're on this project. Yeah. So it'll be exciting to see how your career develops and what you enjoy, and even as an artist, I'm so excited I know you've got some projects you're working on now, and it'll be fun to see that continue as well. So
thank you.
One last question for you.
Okay.
What's your relationship with eyewear? Of course, we're in an optical shop, and I want to hear what your history has been with glasses or sunglasses.
Yes. So I remember the day very vividly. I was in 8th grade. We were driving down the street, and I couldn't read the street sign anymore. And so I realized that obviously, my eyes weren't quite up to par.
Yeah.
And I went and got, my first pair of glasses, and also, started trying to use contacts, because I was an athlete and things, so I couldn't just wear glasses all the time, especially back then, because they were not super conducive to sports.
Yep.
And so I remember I picked out this pair of glasses, and they were for a small town, they were a little edgier. They were Lacoste, but they were an interesting shape. They were bigger frames. They weren't just something that would be invisible on your face. They were very. You
could tell they were there.
You could tell you were wearing them. Yeah. And I think I wore that same pair all through high school and into college and whatnot. And after college, I was working at the chamber, and I realized I should get a new pair of glasses. I think it's probably time.
You were rocking that pair for 4 years, 5 years.
I may have had one other pair. Yeah. I can't remember, but I know that pair was my cute,
your go-to.
It would dress up an outfit pair.
I love that, yeah.
And so I was working at the chamber, and one Saturday morning, I had asked some friends from Oklahoma City, where should I go get glasses? And they had recommended Black Optical, and I went in and I met Ryan, and then we just hit it off.
Yeah. And he still talks about that conversation. We talked for hours.
And he hooked me up with some really, really great frames. Yep. But then I got to come in and meet you, and just it was always so much more than frames. There with y'all. I ended up working with you guys part-time for a little bit.
Ryan recruited you.
Ryan recruited me.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he collected me, I think, a little bit, which is great. And I loved that time there, and I loved the culture that you guys were fostering. And I also loved the product, it wasn't a pair of glasses that would disappear on your face. You guys were carrying brands and items that really bring out someone's personality, and that's what your mission was, helping someone, I think, enhance their style and their personality. And still today, I catch myself I notice frames pretty quick. That's one of the first things.
Once you see it, you can't.
Yeah, I'm always
it,
oh my gosh, that's a great pair of glasses. So, today I definitely still have a great appreciation for all my frames have been purchased with you.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yep.
And you don't see me without sunglasses. I love a pair of sunglasses. I think that they do so much to just enhance an outfit. Yep. Same thing with, glasses in general. But I think it does a lot to help, complete an outfit or bring out someone's style even more. Yeah, for sure.
And there's definitely a correlation with art too. We always see frames as art.
Definitely.
So that's good. You tell a story too about your uncle that collected old eyewear, is that right?
Yes, yeah, okay. And he still does and has kind of a vintage eyewear collection. Wow. My family's kind of all collectors of random things, but his is really cool. Okay. His is old sunglasses and just regular glasses, but a lot of the metal frames with the old school hook around. Yep. Some of that's coming back. Yeah. Or has been back. Yeah. And then the side piece and so.
I have this idea to actually curate vintage eyewear for the shop. I think it'd be a cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Stuff that's rare that people those styles always come back, and it's something that's that old. There's something special about it too.
Oh, definitely.
Which I know you understand.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time. A little cheers before we sign off here. Thanks so much for coming. This is so much fun. Yeah, I'm glad we get to be a part of this community together.
Me too. I'm so happy that Enjoy is down here. And when you told me that you guys were building down here, I was like, well, all my dreams are coming true now.
Yeah,
like,
I know. 5-minute walk from each other's offices.
5-minute walk from my office. You know, we kind of get to work together in a new capacity.
Yeah.
And you also just get to be a part of the community of awesome business owners down here, which I am constantly amazed by the things that they do and the ideas that they have and the way that everyone's building community down here.
Yeah, it's a true community here. I mean, there's no, that's kind of a buzzword for some people.
Yes.
Downtown Edmond, there is something about it.
Yes.
You can walk up and down the strip, say hi.
Yes.
Just be there for each other, send people to other stores.
Referrals, yes.
It's really beautiful what's happening down here.
It is. And you can pretty much, you could just live your life in downtown Edmond and be taken care of in every aspect, I think.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. That's the goal too. We got grocery stores close by. We have housing going up. So there's some opportunity. I love walking too. So I'm always encouraging. Matthew and I were always talking about that too, as far as let's make this place walkable.
Yes. And it's definitely getting there for sure. It just needs to warm up a little bit, but then we'll be there. That is one of my favorite. When it is warm and nice, that is one of my favorite things. So walk down and get a coffee, go to Evoke and get a coffee, or walk down to Plant and grab a smoothie or something like that. Definitely.
Yeah. Here we go. I can't wait to see how it continues.
I know.
Thanks so much, Savannah.
Thank you.